I want to just talk about spiritual abuse, and I want to do some short little talks on what is spiritual abuse and some examples of it that takes place in a church, because we're not aware, really. It's hard to recognize spiritual abuse unless we have the knowledge of abuse and what it is. And this has been something I have had to read about and study and try to get an understanding so that when I see it, I know it and I know what it is. And what I want to talk about today is these pastors that get up on the pulpit and they talk about you. They get up on the pulpit and they call you out by name, and they say something personal that you may have shared with them, and you did not give them permission to stand up in front of the congregation and refer to you and your situation and use it as some kind of a teaching example. This is abuse. This is breach of confidentiality. If I tell a pastor something in private, and I put my confidence in him to give me an answer or give me his feedback, then he should not, or she should not, be taking my information up to the pulpit and using it as some kind of a teaching moment and mentioning my name or your name when we have not given them permission to do that. So when a pastor calls you out from the pulpit, there you are sitting there like, oh no, he did not do that, right? And then you're sitting there and you're feeling something bad inside, and you can't put your finger on it. You don't feel good about it because you never gave that pastor or that church leader or whoever, you never gave them permission to stand up there and share your story. All right? Share your personal information. All right? And I have some examples of that. I was in a church, and, I was starting to get into leadership and running a women's group. And I remember one of the first things the pastor told me about the minister that I was to be assisting is that she was hearing voices and she was schizophrenic. And that's all he told me. And I'm sitting there like, okay, what does this have to do with me? What is this all about? And why would he be telling me this woman's personal information, which I'm sure she sat down and counseled with him, on this point? If anything, we would all be sitting together in a confidential conversation where we're keeping this information between the three of us unless one of us has given permission for the pastor to go up to the pulpit and expose that confidential information. See? Now, a pastor can go up to a pulpit and start preaching a sermon, and then only you know he's talking about you. But it stings, and it is not right for that pastor to use that pulpit to chide you, to poke at you, and to try to make you feel bad. Okay? That pastor can get up there and talk about you, and maybe he does not mention your name, but people know who he's talking about. This is a low blow. This is dirty behavior. Okay? And some of these pastors get on this pulpit and they will make a joke about you. Right? And then they're up there like some kind of a gang leader, and they've got the congregation surrounding them like the gang members, and they use the pulpit to bully people even to make fun of you, make a joke about you, or whatever the case may be. It's wrong. I should not hear my name up there and my situation up on that pulpit unless I have given permission, and I know the pastor's going to get up there and talk about me. I gave permission. So it's a breach of trust, and it is spiritual abuse when a pastor gets on the pulpit to tell your personal business for whatever reason. I don't care if he's teaching a lesson. I don't care if he's making a joke about you. Whatever the case may be, your name should never be coming up there from the pulpit. Pastors should not be using that pulpit for that reason. These are low, dirty blows, okay? And I'll give you an example. When I first, one of the first churches that I was, a member of, okay, the first couple of Sundays, I had this habit that I used to love this purple lipstick, right? And now and if anybody had an issue with it, then they should have taken me aside and approached me with that. Oh, no, they did not. Why was this pastor up on the pulpit talking about, oh, yeah, Marlene and her purple lipstick? We're all going to have to help her with that. Now, that is just pure embarrassment. That is a low blow, and that did not make me feel good at all. And see, at the time, I'm like, why do I not feel good? Why do I have like this sinking feeling? Because this man is up on the pulpit making fun of my lipstick. If he's got an issue with my lipstick, why isn't he himself coming to me and saying so? Forget about the fact that the lipstick has nothing to do with holiness from the door, okay? But there he is embarrassing me up on pulpit now, using God's pulpit where you're supposed to be preaching the gospel to throw out a joke against Marlene Taylor. And then the cackling was just horrible. Of course people were laughing. It was funny what he was saying. And I was the butt of the joke on the pulpit. Now, these things aren't correct. These things aren't nice. And these things are just plain dirty to do. You don't do that. You hurt people when you do that. Now, if a pastor is interested in hurting people, then fine. Get up on the pulpit and call out people's names and tell their business and tell their situation and make fun of them. Okay? Now, that's one of the examples of that spiritual abuse, breach of confidence. Anytime a pastor is going around telling your business to someone in the church and discussing you without your permission, that is a breach of trust. You haven't given that pastor permission to do that. Another thing that they can do, these pastors do, is if you're leaving a church, they might threaten you. They might give you this underhanded threat. And here's an example of it, and I'll talk more about that in another talk. But you're getting ready to leave the church. Like there was a time when I decided, okay, I'm going to leave this church. The pastor and his secretary actually sat down with me and had the conversation that people who left that ministry went out to start their own ministry and they failed. Okay? And this is the talk that I'm hearing, and I'm sitting down and listening to this as I'm handing in my verbal resignation from this ministry. So now they're using fear against me. They're trying to make me afraid. And now they're trying to put shame on me as if you leave this ministry, oh, what a shame. You're going to go out there and you're not going to make it. So you better just stay right here with us where it's right, good, and correct, and where you can move from here and do greater things. Okay? So if you are hearing from a church that you're intending to leave, that things like, I've heard things like, from another church I was leaving, I heard things like, oh, be careful, the devil is out there. Be careful. Don't get lost within Satan's kingdom. Now, all of this is bullying. It's thug bullying. It's gang bullying. And it is bullying people and trying to scare them into staying in your ministry and trying to convince them that if they go out of your ministry, start their own, or go to another church, there's going to be danger. They should be afraid. The devil is all over the place. The devil is everywhere but here. When in reality, anybody, any pastor, male or female, who is standing up on the pulpit talking about you, calling your name, and you have not given them permission, that sounds devilish to me. It's a dirty thing. It's dirty. It's low, and it should not go on. It's spiritual abuse.